Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. We're continuing our discussion on Hijaz and then compatibility of the Saudi government in managing the pilgrimage and other events in that area. In the last discussion, we talked about how the Saudi government could have done much more to facilitate Hajj, and we gave a lot of reasons. If those examples would have followed, there would be more people than only 60,000 who would have performed their religious duty. Now, uh, if this was first time that an egregious act of mismanagement and or misjudgment had happened during the pilgrimage, whether Hajj or Umrah, one could have given Saudi government the benefit of the doubt that these were extraordinary circumstances and then the Saudi government has the right intention. However, this is not the first time this has happened. The lack of interest in managing the affairs of pilgrimage is as clear as day. Let's look at some examples of mismanagement that led to the death of thousands of pilgrims during the Hajj. During the 100-year control of Saudis of the Hajj, we have seen stampedes, fires, construction related incidents, riots, and bloodshed in the Haram. First, let's discuss stampedes. Before we discuss the events and casualties, let me paint a picture of what does a stampede look like because I've been in one. The stampede of 2015. When you are in a stampede or when you are in Hajj, you are in a sea of people. It is hot, humid, there's no water, only sweaty humans all around and sun on the top. There is no way to move to the right, left, or back because the streets are blocked by the police. The sea of people keeps moving forward. If this sea stops because the gates are closed or because of poor planning by the administration, pilgrims cannot breathe. They suffocate and faint. As pilgrims start falling like flies, there is no support from the authorities, no medical personnel, no emergency procedures. The sea of people just continues to crush the pilgrims on the ground, who cry in their own sweat, ask for help, but no one listens. They cannot breathe even as they grasp for air. And shortly thereafter, it's all darkness, and their bodies are trampled by others who fear the same fate if they move down to pull their brethren. A pure example of mismanagement. Keeping this gory picture in mind, one might assume that the Saudi authorities, who call themselves the custodians of the two holy mosques, should have learned from their mistakes over the years. After all, they have controlled the Hajj for a century. The technology advancements are at a level no one could have imagined 100 years ago. And the Saudi government is minting crazy amounts of money from the pilgrimage industry, roughly $12 billion annually. And even after all of these resources, all of these advancements, all of these facilities, following is a list of stampedes over the last 30 years. In 1990, a stampede inside a tunnel resulted in the death of 1,426 pilgrims and many more injured. In 1994, 270 pilgrims were killed in Mina near Jamarat. In 98, 118 pilgrims were trampled to death and hundreds injured in Mina near Jamarat. In 2001, 35 pilgrims were trampled to death. Same in Mina near Jamarat. 2003, another 14 people died because of stampede in Mina near Jamarat. 2004, 251 people were killed and hundreds injured. Where? In Mina, Jamarat. In 2005, a stampede through the stoning ritual, the same near Jamarat in Mina, 3 pilgrims died. 2006, 346 pilgrims died at Mina. 2015, more than 4,000 pilgrims were killed during a stampede. And this number was then removed from the website. In total, if you just add these stampede numbers, these are official numbers, by the way, they're not numbers, unofficial numbers. 7,000, more than 7,000 pilgrims have died, and more than 10,000 have been injured. Let me ask a simple question here. Any stupid person can see that the situation in Mina needs to be fixed, but nothing is done, or is done at a very slow pace, or these stampedes are intentional to push away Hajis from certain countries. Whatever the reason might be, this suggests that either the Saudi government is incompetent or they take Hajj very lightly. Life of a pilgrim who's visiting the house of Allah is taken lightly. In either case, they don't deserve to be the custodians of the holy cities, and it is the responsibility of every able bodied Muslim from all parts of the world to ensure that the Makkah and Medina is freed from the clutches of the occupied forces of the House of Saud. May Allah help us in our efforts.